Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer because, well, here's the thing. Your body actually starts warning you weeks, sometimes even months before a heart attack actually strikes. So today, we're decoding those subtle, completely silent signs. We've compiled the absolute best medical data so you know exactly what to look out for. By the time we finish up here, you'll know the tiny whispers your body uses to alert you before it's too late. Just to give you an idea of the scale we're dealing with, get this. Every 40 seconds, an American has a heart attack. When you add all that up, it comes out to a staggering 805,000 people every single year. It's a massive, relentless issue. But you know what the really devastating truth is? Nearly half of those 805,000 victims had absolutely no dramatic warnings. Nothing. They felt completely fine, totally healthy, just weeks before their heart suddenly stopped. They brushed off these tiny little whispers from their body, thinking it was no big deal. Well, we're going to make sure that never happens to you. To do that, we actually have to unlearn a few things first. Basically, Hollywood has completely lied to you. You know the scene, some guy dramatically grabbing his chest and collapsing? Yeah, the medical reality, straight from the American Heart Association, is that 1 in 5 heart attacks is totally silent. They build up really slowly. Honestly, by the time you feel that classic chest-clutching pain, the damage to the heart muscle is already done. So let's break down what's really happening. Sign number 1, extreme exhaustion. And look, we aren't talking about your normal, I need a second cup of coffee kind of tired. We're talking about a deep, bone-crushing fatigue that just hits you completely out of nowhere. Here's the mechanics of it. When your arteries start to narrow, the blood flow to your heart drops. Your heart suddenly has to work way harder just to pump the exact same amount of blood. And all that extra effort literally drains your entire body's energy battery. In fact, a massive 70% of women who had heart attacks reported this exact kind of extreme fatigue in the weeks leading up to it. And what do? They write it off as stress or hormones or just getting older. Please, whatever you do, don't ignore it. Moving right along to sign number 2, sudden breathlessness. If you suddenly find yourself getting completely winded doing totally normal everyday things, like, I don't know, just walking to the kitchen, you absolutely cannot afford to dismiss it. And here's exactly why that happens. Your heart and lungs are basically a tag team, so when your heart starts to fail, it can't pump blood efficiently through your lungs anymore. That causes fluid to back up right into the lung tissue itself, making every single breath feel incredibly shallow and difficult. Most folks just blame it on being a bit out of shape or carrying a few extra pounds, but if this hits you out of the blue, it could definitely be your heart quietly failing. Okay, sign number 3, misdiagnosed upper body pain. This is the one that really trips people up, sending them off to the dentist or a massage therapist instead of the ER. And that's mostly because, surprisingly, this pain has absolutely nothing to do with your chest. The medical reason behind this is a crazy phenomenon called referred pain. See, your heart shares nerve pathways with your upper body. When that heart muscle is starving for oxygen, it fires off distress signals. But instead of actually feeling it in your chest, those pain signals travel up and out through those shared nerves. Honestly, it's one of the single most misdiagnosed warnings in American ERs right now. Let's track how this actually builds across your body. It almost always starts with this persistent, totally unexplained pain radiating right into your jaw. You'll probably just think, oh, I slept on it wrong, or I must be grinding my teeth, right? But it's actually the very first stop on that shared nerve pathway. Then, in just seconds, or maybe minutes, that discomfort travels. It usually pops up next as this really severe tension and tightness, just wrapping right around your neck. It completely mimics deep muscle stress. From there, it pushes outward, turning into this deep, radiating ache right in your left shoulder. And again, it's so easy to write this off as a pulled muscle from carrying groceries or just sitting weird at your desk all that. Finally, that dull, heavy ache just runs all the way down your left arm. If you ever experience this progression, especially if it's paired with any of the other signs we're going over today, man, that is a massive red flag. Now, this brings us to a bit of a twist. Say you've been having trouble sleeping lately. How on earth could suddenly waking up in the middle of the night mean your heart is failing? I mean, they sound completely disconnected, right? Well, that's sign number 4, sleep disruption and insomnia. The connection here is actually pretty fascinating. Your body's nervous system can detect that cardiac distress way before you consciously feel it, so it triggers anxiety and restlessness because it's literally trying to keep you alert to the danger. Women, especially, report having terrible sleep disturbances for weeks before an attack, but they almost always brush it off as menopause or work stress. All right, sign number 5, Overlooked swelling. If your shoes suddenly start feeling super tight, or your socks are leaving those deep, obvious indentations around your ankles at the end of the day, don't just blame it on standing too long, the hot weather, or a flight you just took. What you're looking at is a condition called edema. Basically, when your heart gets weak and can't pump effectively, fluid starts backing up in your circulatory system. It actually leaks straight out of your blood vessels and, thanks to gravity, pools in the lowest points of your body, your feet, your ankles, your legs. It's honestly one of the most consistently ignored signs of heart failure. Moving on to sign number 6, a persistent dry cough. We're talking about a cough that simply will not quit. It's caused by that exact same fluid we talked about earlier, accumulating right there in your lungs and irritating the tissue. Folks almost always mistake this for acid reflux or some kind of lingering allergy. But here is where things get absolutely critical. If that nagging cough suddenly leads to you coughing up little bits of pinkish or blood-tinged mucus, do not reach for the cough syrup, and definitely do not say, I'll just wait and see how I feel tomorrow. This is a massive dial 911 medical emergency that needs your immediate attention. It literally means your lungs are actively filling with fluid. And finally, sign number 7, the ultimate final warning. On the surface, this one sounds the least medical of the bunch, but it's actually your body's absolute deepest survival instinct, just firing off every single alarm bell it has left. Survivors actually report this exact same phrase over and over, an overwhelming and totally unexplained feeling of doom. It happens days or sometimes just weeks before their heart stops. But just this incredibly deep sense of dread or a sudden panic attack with absolutely zero trigger. Guys, this is not psychological weakness. This is literally your nervous system realizing your heart is in mortal danger. If you ever feel this overwhelming sense that something is just terribly wrong inside your body, trust that gut feeling. Okay, let's lock all this in. Take a screenshot right now if you need to. Here is the recap of the 7 subtle whispers you need to watch for. Extreme exhaustion, breathlessness during your normal daily routine, that tricky referred pain in the jaw, neck, or arm, sudden insomnia, swollen feet and ankles, a persistent dry cough, and that unexplainable feeling of doom. But look, knowledge is only power if you actually act on it. If you're recognizing even 2 or 3 of these signs in yourself, or maybe someone you love, right now, you need to go to the doctor today. And don't just walk in and say, I feel tired. You have to demand these exact 3 simple life-saving tests: an EKG, a stress test, and a full cardiac workup. Seriously, a quick share of this explainer could literally prevent a tragedy, so please pass it along to save a life. And make sure you hit subscribe to Venoxa Health for more of these structured health breakdowns. Oh, and speaking of prevention, do you have any idea which 5 common foods are silently clogging your arteries tonight? Join us next time as we dive into the daily foods that are quietly destroying your heart, and the 3 you can eat to actually reverse the damage. Until then, listen to your body before it's too late.